Yuan is releasing in less than 24 hours, and she looks both insane in performance and fun when playing her. Today, I'll break down everything you need to know if you're on the fence about pulling her, but before we get into that, if you like this sort of content or want to see more ZenlessZoneZero, be sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe for good luck. The first thing we have to talk about briefly is her kit, in case you aren't already familiar with how she works or what her playstyle is. Yuan's kit revolves around using shot shells, which we will be calling shotgun shells for simplicity's sake. Her attacks that involve shotgun shells or apply ether damage have the highest damage multipliers in her kit, all while contributing towards corruption anomaly as well. But before we get into which attacks use shotgun shells and which do not, keep in mind that corruption anomaly is very powerful since it can cause enemies to attack one another, and it also acts as a damage over time effect for 10 seconds that is tied for being the highest damage anomaly attribute alongside shock. Back to her kit though, let's talk basic attacks. She has two forms or modes for her basic attacks. One is the assault mode that generates shells, and the other is suppression, which consumes shells. You can tell the difference between the two since one is activated when you normally press left clicks or your basic attacks, and the other is activated when you hold down your basic attacks instead. Her 4th and 5th basic attacks in assault mode are important to note since they both give a single shotgun shell when you use them, but in general, her energy enhanced special attack, her chain attacks, and ultimate also give you them. I won't go much further than this, but the overall playstyle will involve alternating these skills and chain attacks so you can gain shotgun shells and unleash massive corruption damage. So now we know what she does, what are the strengths and weaknesses of Yuan? Let's break this down with the pros and cons chart and begin with pros. The first pro/strength I want to talk about involves her damage. She's a single target crit carry and does absolutely ridiculous damage, matching even Ellen. This is a no-brainer, but the more damage a character does, the more value they have, especially when in the primary DPS slot. The second, but more like 1.5 strength, is in relation to Shiyu defense. I don't want to count Shiyu defense too much because the first Abyss/Memory of Chaos/Tower of Adversity/ whatever you want to call it, piece of content released with a limited character will typically favor them. However, I do want to mention that the current rotation does have 5 of its total 7 stages possessing a weakness to this element, so Yuan will definitely feel better when using her right now. The second true strength/pro of Yuan is her additional ability. Unlike other characters in the game, Yuan can activate her additional ability simply by being paired with a support, as opposed to only through a faction or element. This means she has 3 total ways to synergize and activate a 30% increased crit rate after using her EX special, chain attack, or ultimate. The third strength is how easy it is to build her. Now, if you've been farming for a character like Nekomata, Soldier 11, or Ellen, you likely have a few pieces of Woodpecker or Puffer Electro lying around. Yuan can use these sets, which is very valuable, but that's not even where the good news ends. Though her signature is always going to perform equal to, if not best, Yuan also does very well with a lot of the W engines currently available in the game. Starlight Engine, which is a completely free-to-play attack W engine, actually performs very well with her. But the biggest shock for me is actually that a standard engine like Brimstone is actually pretty competitive and good for her, so if you have it, try it out. Now for the final comment I want to make about building her and why this is a strength, this kind of acts as its own separate strength/pro. However, building and acquiring Yuan's current best team is also just super easy. Both are given for free, and the impact that they have on Yuan is insane. And when Yuan actually releases, Ambi and Nicole will perform spectacularly since Yuan wants a stunner, and Nicole applies defense shred and ether damage increase. Ambi and Nicole also get to activate their additional ability, being the same faction, and at the same time, Yuan plus Nicole get to activate each other's abilities as well, with their elements being the same. This is a perfect fit, and they're both free. But now we have to talk about her cons/her weaknesses. There is one major flaw that I want to mention right now, and that's the fact that she is mostly single target. But actually, I lied because she pairs consistently with Nicole, who has a vacuum and applies it every time she does a chain attack or uses her enhanced skill. On a more serious note, there are a few other flaws that she has, but they are pretty subjective or hard to list as concrete weaknesses. These include things like her kit only focusing on dealing damage, her movement sometimes leaving you in a bad position, and also her basic attack string being 6 attacks long and fairly interruptible. The 6th part of her basic attack combo, by the way, is not mentioned for some reason, but it's the stash attack. However, these weaknesses feel much more difficult to justify as being significant, since one is a weakness that most damage dealers in the game already have, and the others involve being unfamiliar with her kit or needing to avoid getting skill issued. With the pros and cons section behind us, I do want to talk briefly about future proofing and what's to come, but a lot of this is hypothesis and some personal observations I've made based on things we've seen so far. Take everything with a grain of salt and things change, I could be wrong. Currently, Yuan is the first true ether damage dealer, and therefore the likelihood of them releasing another crit-based ether main damage dealer is very low. With that, Yuan definitely has a decent amount of time being the one and only DPS queen of ether in ZenlessZoneZero. And at this point, we are already familiar with some of the potential upcoming characters being released with Jane Doe, Seth, Qingyi, and Miyabi. To be clear, while we have no idea about Jane Doe, Seth, or Qingyi's kits, we have already seen Miyabi in past closed betas, which is why it's decently safe to assume that another ether DPS like Yuan will not be releasing soon. Additionally, we have seen Yuan alongside Seth, Qingyi, and Jane Doe in this pre-launch livestream altogether, which does insinuate that they are the same faction, and to me, them releasing a same faction, same element, same role character is very unlikely. So with her kit broken down, her pros and cons explained, and with the topic of future proofing addressed, is she pull worthy? In my opinion, absolutely. If you've decided to skip for Ellen, having a main DPS like Yuan would definitely help with your roster clearing difficult content. And although she is just a damage dealer, she currently has a super solid team with Ambi and Nicole that are both free. This feels very reminiscent to when people were saying release patch Ellen is super OP, since she has Lycone and Sokaku available as soon as the game begins, but now you have Ambi and Nicole at your disposal and you don't need to pull for an additional 5-star to make this team shine. Keep in mind of course that you are free to pull or not pull regardless of what anyone says, but these are my thoughts about Yuan before she comes out. That's going to be it for this video though guys, thank you again for watching if you made it this far. I hope you learned something, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out the rest of my socials. I hope you guys are as excited for Yuan as I am. I'm going to be pulling her, and we'll see how good she is, but she'll likely end up being the second DPS that I use to clear a majority of my content. I'll see you all next time. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night, everyone. Whoa, if you made it this far in this video, you should probably click on the next video that YouTube has recommended for you. I think you'll like it. I think it'll be pretty cool. And if you do, you'll probably have good luck. See you all next time. Bye-bye.